Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thank you for checking out the channel. You're beautiful, and I love you. If you guys could subscribe, that's cool. I appreciate that. Also, to the Tobin and Leroy show on all your podcast platforms, including on WQAM's YouTube page, 104.3 WQAM. Always put that in the description. So I would like you guys to please come and watch the radio show live or on demand. That would be cool. Miami Dolphins, obviously it was a somber show. I really tried not to there was so much going on in sports this weekend. It was still probably a 60% Dolphins, 40 everything else show. But I feel like on days like last day, it would have been 90-10. And I just felt like, dude, what else is there to say at this point, right? I think that's where a lot of Dolphin fans are unfortunately at, is that until, we took callers and guys are frustrated, but I think everybody's just out of almost anger at this point. I was listening to Mike after the show today. Whoa, what a brutal press conference, as most of them are. But he was asked about, Stephen Ross, and he said, yeah, he's very frustrated. And I do wonder, it was such a point for the Miami Dolphins to have out there when all this stuff was going down, that they were really backing Mike McDaniel and that they weren't going to fire anybody and they're going to be super patient. And look, I don't know if getting anybody fired, I don't even know who to fire at this point, because you do got to get through a season, right? It reminds me of the Panthers preseason game. You're almost running out of bodies. So, if the Dolphins were to fire Mike McDaniel, does Anthony Weaver take over? Because the defense has been terrible too. Do you fire everybody and, do you pull a late Jim Irsay and ask, I don't know who you even, who's the luminary that you would even add? Do you Dan Marino to coach the rest of the way? Who's their Jeff Saturday that they could just have in and win a game and then just all of a sudden just be all right, that didn't work. Zonk, do they get Zonk off of the fishing boat? I don't even know who it is, dude. But my point is, people are rightfully pissed. And I don't know what gets Stephen Ross to the point where he does pull the trigger on making a move on these guys. I've told you guys, I feel like Chris Greer at this point is Teflon. I don't think that there's anything that gets this guy axed. It feels like he's just got the Willy Wonka golden ticket forever. Because you even just look at this year, and it was so poorly constructed, right? And I tried to be optimistic about it. I always say, I think it's easier to be pessimistic than optimistic as a fan, because I want to go into seasons rooting for the team and thinking the best and hoping. But, you just look back at it and you're just let's look at this defense and be all you need, you're going to lose Calais Campbell, who's one of your best players. You're going to lose Jalen Ramsey, who's one of your best players. And you're going to lose half of your cornerbacks that you figured out with Kader Kohu and Storm Duck. And these are guys who are supposed to be your third corners on any regular team. You're going to get guys off the street. And, you got linebackers that but they're not Fred Warner or anything like that. I know we have a high opinion of Jordan Brooks. And you're we're going to lean into our youth. We need a lot of our young guys to play. And this year has just been such a nightmare, because it's not just that the Dolphins' young guys haven't been ready to rock this year. But this is the thing that's crazy about it is it's not only that they haven't been ready to rock this year, they've been the worst. And that's crazy to me. It's could you not only go into this thing being what we're going to do, guys? We're going to fill the trenches with blue chip guys. They're going to be ready to rock. All right. Sealer's going to carry him next to him. And we got this offensive line. We're going to put this Savaiinaea. We're going to trade up. We got our guy. And not only are those guys not doing well. They're doing the worst. Like in all these metrics that but do eye test. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm no guru by any standard. I'm sitting here watching these games. And I'm like, eventually they got to get them right. And it's like, no, they're getting the doors blown off them. They have no shot. It's very obvious that they're in over their head. And that is such a poor job of roster construction. You're sitting here, and I feel bad for these guys, right? Because it's like no season should be no season of real consequence should be put on the shoulders of Kenneth Grant and Jonah Savaiinaea. Like that's not a fair thing to do. These guys coming from college and asked, like, hey, go tango with the real men. And if you don't, and by the way, Jonah, you better be good because we already got backups on the right side of our line, which, by the way, those guys aren't coming back anytime soon, according to Mike McDaniel. But, Jonah Savaiinaea, you're like, all right, put him as a pup on the line. You got these veterans. It should be fine. And I agree. That should have been okay. Could bring some help his way and all that. But instead, you got guards off the street and a backup tackle, and so they know where the weak link is. They know where the chum in the water is. And then with Kenneth Grant, like you probably this guy's. I got hyped up with Kenneth Grant. He's a champion defender. We had his defensive line coach from Michigan on, and he's like talking him all the way up. But you can't have that be the bedrock of your team. And that's everything that could go wrong for this team has. And that's on top of, those guys not being ready, Tyreek Hill being done for the season. I mean, we thought the worst thing that could happen with Tyreek Hill was him making a stink. How about, no, he's going to have a career damaging knee injury. The quarterback is going to get off to the worst start of his career on top of everybody already. Even his most ardent defenders have to look at him with a skeptical eye this year. And then you have a coach who just doesn't really connote confidence in any of this. Like, I'm listening to him be asked about this today. He's taking 5 minutes on what should be a 2-second answer on the rookies. And it's just like making it all the more painful. And, it doesn't feel like there's any way out of this right now. Because they just feel like a doormat. They feel that even at their best, they weren't, even at their best with their biggest flaws, they weren't this. And now it just feels like they're just overall bad because in most games, while the defense, I would give them the most of the blame pie this year, when they have come with stops, two has turned the ball over, or they haven't been able to run the ball, or the offensive line is stunk. Like, everybody's had a hand in this sucking. And it's unfortunate that now it's like being put on these two kids who, like, are you sinking their Dolphins' careers, right? Like, they're going to be thrown into this, and everyone's going to have no faith that these guys will be any good anymore. And I don't know what you do with that. I don't know what the right thing is to do by Kenneth Grant and Jonah Savaiinaea about taking snaps. So, I mean, you can't really take away Savaiinaea. Like, who are you going to go to? You barely have guards for the other side, so you're kind of sunk there. But with Kenneth Grant, like, I don't know what you do. What do you say? Your first round pick doesn't work. What are you going to do? You use your seventh pick, Zeke Biggers there? Like, I don't know what the answers are. I talked about the Christian Wilkins thing a couple of times on this channel and on the radio show, but, like, that almost feels like a waste of time, right? Like, if the Dolphins were on their way to turning it around to something, okay, then you could start talking about additions and figuring things out. Right now, that just currently feels like a waste of time. Like, you might as well just let them take their lumps, and then whoever's here running the organization afterwards, good luck to them. They can figure that out. But I don't know how anybody, if this continues, can feel secure about their job. I know that there's a lot of columns now saying like, hey, this guy can't return this guy. Like, look, it just is what it is at this point. And a lot of this of like, hey, Stephen Ross, who's he going to go to? I get all that. I don't think there's a lot of good solutions out there. Like, people have said Gruden, they've said Belichick. I think those are maybe if Harbaugh, if this whole thing unravels in Baltimore, maybe he shakes loose. So you have some credibility and accountability there, at least an even-keeled guy who's been to the top before. But yeah, man, I just, this has become so rotten. It's become depressing, and I do feel bad that this is like falling on the heads of these two young guys, because it's not on them. It's not their fault that they were put, like last year the Dolphins drafted from a position of talent. They didn't draft guys to plug holes right away. They drafted Patrick Paul. Well, at first they drafted Chop Robinson, who, it took a little bit to get going, but they had thought they were coming into this year. They thought they were coming into the year with Jalen Phillips. They ended up getting Agba. They thought maybe they were going to get Bradley Chubb at some point. It never happened. But, like, there wasn't this pressure on the kid, like, right away. Hey, you better be good. And he ended up turning around in the middle of the year. Patrick Paul, it's a spot every now and then, but, wasn't like, hey, you're the tackle right away. Nah, he got to go through some development, and that's okay. And then you knew he was ready the next year. And these two guys, it's like, we need to fix the trenches. Let's get two pups to fix the trenches. And yeah, maybe they're not good. They could, look, I can't put past the fact that they could suck and be busts. I mean, we just saw Chris Greer's done that plenty of times. We just saw this with Cam Smith. He drafted a cornerback who never contributed to the Dolphins in the second round. So the guy is he's less than a coin toss being good at picking players, which already putting yourself in a position where that has to be your Hail Mary is a bad place to be in. But so I can't rule out that Kenny G and Jonah will turn it around, because maybe they are busts. But man, you would have just like a little like glimmer of something to be like, yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. And then you're just getting to this point of the season where like, I don't know if they're going to be even in a habitat to make that happen, just because this team feels like it's drowning. And I don't know, I don't know, like, unless these guys all of a sudden turn into all pros, which they won't, what gets it fixed. So it's tough, man. It's a tough place to be in with this organization right now. It's not fun, and it's not fun to talk about, but it is the reality of where they're at right now, and it doesn't necessarily feel like it's going to get better anytime soon. So we'll see as far as what the next step is for this team. And, will we get another banner this week? Will the booing be worse? Will the Dolphins surprise? Will they win a game against the Chargers? Probably not. But, we'll see. What is the spread even for this week? I haven't even looked. I've been so disgusted with everything. Live reaction of Tobes. But you know how bad it is, dude, that like you have the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers are out here making fun of you with their stupid elevator, with their elevator. Like the elevator thing is such a niche thing to know on NFL Twitter, and they're just like, we got the burn for the Dolphins. They had that locked and loaded in the holster, and they just hit you with a, check it, dude. Here's our elevator. I'm just like, you mother bleepers. Los Angeles is a 4.5-point favorite. A 4.5-point favorite for this game. Oof. All right. Well, not great. All right. Well, such is life right now is in Dolphins land. It's sad.